Both Mehdi and Seth were on my list of patient heroes on the final slide this morning. So here comes the second patient hero.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Seth Ginsberg, and before I even begin, I'd like to again thank Denise and everybody at Doctors 2.0 for the phenomenal conference here. This is my privilege of returning to the second year in a row, and it's great to be here. So what I'm going to do is attempt in the next 6 minutes and 45 seconds to condense the last 15 months of work, over 1,000 hours, and apologies in advance to the simultaneous translators, as my New York upbringing has taught me how to speak very quickly. But I'm confident we can do it. I'm here to talk about our patient-powered research network called Arthritis Power. I was happy to preview it last year, and even more happy to be here today to tell you about the progress we've made, the app we've launched, and our opportunity to literally transform research and bring the data back into the hands of the patients living with chronic diseases such as arthritis. A little bit of background, Creakyjoints is the arthritis patient community that I co-founded in 1999. I was diagnosed with a form of arthritis called spondyloarthropathy when I was 13. And at 18, from my dorm room bunk bed, seeking support and strength from others, I literally in the middle of the night got out of bed and emailed my former internship boss, and later on that day, Creakyjoints was a website. Today, 16 years later, we have grown considerably. We are a part of the nonprofit we incorporated called the Global Healthy Living Foundation, and we keep growing. Right now, our membership is about 85,000 members, patients and their families worldwide. We've begun to systematically catalog those patients because Creakyjoints is now a dynamic, responsive platform based on who they are and what they have is what they see, which is exciting. And we continue to grow on social media, which is, really our bread and butter. We are kids of social media, digital natives, and so our Facebook page, very popular, depending on the week and Facebook's mood, can reach anywhere between 50,000 folks and 4 or 5 million. More on that in the future, but we can talk a little bit about Twitter here for a second. We like to tweet to the media. We like to tweet to folks who can relay our voice, as well as, of course, to the patients and their families. I like to say that if Twitter can topple Tahrir Square, I'm pretty sure it could manage to handle our issues. And you can tweet that, too, if you'd like. And here's what we do, and this really lends credence to the phrase, if you build it, they will come. See, Creakyjoints is broken down into 4 main areas: education and understanding about the various rheumatology diseases that we live with, whether they're inflammatory arthritis like RA, which about 65% of our community has, degenerative joint disease like osteoarthritis, or many of the other related inflammatory arthritis like lupus, psoriatic arthritis, and others. There's support for people who want to understand how to cope, and we all cope a little differently, and it's great to have a common gathering point where we could share that strength and experience with one another. There's advocacy to overcome barriers to care and to deal with regulatory hurdles and address issues that are coming down the pike, like biologics versus biosimilars, a really important issue to us, something we're engaged on worldwide. And when you can mobilize as many people as we do online, there's inherent power there because you can activate and engage the regulators, the policymakers, and the public in a very efficient way. And we're happy that we do that as responsibly as possible. And then lastly, and the reason I'm here today, is patient-centered research. We did a lot of work all these years doing a lot of talking and not a lot of listening. So somebody one day approached us about 2 years ago and they said, you got all these patients and their families orbiting you and your organization. Why don't you start asking them questions? Why don't you learn from them? And this kind of being a new era with the Affordable Health Care Act, or Obamacare, ushering in a new approach to healthcare, we thought, why not? Fortunately, buried way within that affordable health care on page 700 or 800 and something was $1 billion earmarked for the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute. This, as a result, was what created the National Patient-Centered Clinical Research Network, or PCORNet, which is actively transforming clinical research by engaging patients, the care providers, and the health systems in collaborative partnerships to help improve healthcare and advance medical knowledge. In other words, this is improving our national infrastructure so that we can conduct what's called comparative effectiveness. What can we learn from everybody living with all these diseases if they can all contribute just a little bit of how they're doing, so we can take a step back and see what that means in the larger picture, and then use that information to treat more specifically the wants and the needs of that patient that's in front of us. So PCORI exists so that we can basically change the research paradigm on its head. Right now, as you know, clinical research is slow, it's expensive, and it's really not generally well connected to real-life healthcare. When you go into a study, they take your name and your identity away, they assign you a number, and you're completely anonymized for the rest of your career in that study. There's no evidence, and it's never focused, usually not focused on outcomes. Today now, because of PCORI and this investment made by the US government, we have a distributed research network that draws on all the information of the real-life experience during these routine visits that these patients make to their doctor's office. The focus is on the patient's needs and priorities, and it respects their privacy and ensures data security. About $200 million was earmarked specifically to build this infrastructure, of which we're proud to be a part of. Because historically, patients have been subjects of research, and today, patients can be partners in research. Now, PCORI has the potential to have a transformative effect on the healthcare system, and it'll perform research a lot more quickly and efficiently with much less of an investment than our current system. And we worked very hard within our network and node within the network to ensure that this was open to the global patient community. So we created something called Arthritis Power, and it's arthritispower.org. I bet you couldn't have guessed that one. Somehow they managed to find my high school yearbook picture to make that my headshot. I'm joined alongside two amazing researchers, Dr. Jeff Curtis there on the left at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, a rheumatologist and true visionary in the vanguard of arthritis care and research. And then to my right on the slide, Dr. Ben Noel, who is our Director of Patient-Centered Research. So what is patient-centered and what does it mean? Well, we're governed by patients and we are research for patients. We have a brand new governance structure which includes a 12-person patient governor group. It includes a diverse series of patients from all around the country and backgrounds, all of whom live with the conditions that we're aiming to study, like rheumatoid arthritis. And of course, a research advisory board which draws down the knowledge and the experience of more traditional researchers. But everything we do goes through those patient governors, and that has retained the look and the feel and the flavor of being patient-centered. So this isn't a bunch of researchers saying, here, this is for you. This is a bunch of patients saying, you know what, I live with a syndrome, which means no real known cause and or cure, but how I live with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, might be very different than how someone else might live with it, and yet we can probably pool our collective experiences and then, as a result, understand more. These are our patient governors. As I said, they're really diverse, and we work very hard to make sure that they represent as much of a distributed and representative group of patients as possible, and they're super active and totally amazing, and a true nod to them. So what kind of data do we capture? So through Arthritis Power, it's patient-reported outcomes, how they're doing and what they're up to. These include the demographics information, and they're all done through the web-based as well as the app that'll be available in the stores. And I'll just finish up here in 2 seconds here in the home stretch. It's unique, the Arthritis Power, this patient-powered research network, because it's patient-led and patient-driven. It's direct to patients for their enrollment through the internet. You can give and get information about your symptoms with a handy health tracker, and obviously it has the convenience of the mobility of being online and on your smartphone, available in stores here real soon. Obviously, I'll spare you all the details here. Look, they even made it a build. That's exciting. But the Arthritis Power dashboard includes all of these various functions that allow you to continually track, both actively and passively, your outcomes, how you're doing, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, using validated instruments like the PROMIS measures. You can email that to your doctor doctor, and then you can stay in touch with the Creakyjoints newsfeed, which is pretty exciting. The future of Arthritis Power, and I'll end here, is obviously data collection in a unique way, giving patients the opportunity to opt into these various patient-reported outcomes collection methods are inherently powerful because they've never been done before. We've always been studied as subjects, and today we can be studied as people. And obviously, lots of environments to use this registry. As patients have consented into Arthritis Power, now over 500, and we've only been launched for a couple of weeks and haven't even hit the App Store. We're very excited to hit our initial phase 1 goal of 10,000 patients before September. Lots of opportunity, lots of inherent power that's being put back into the hands of patients, and we are just unbelievably thrilled to both represent the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute as part of this initiative, but also to help our worldwide colleagues of both patient advocates, physicians, and medical researchers in understanding patients a little bit better. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and happy to answer questions.